What's up, ElkShape YouTube people? We are doing, this is the silver Sharpie video today. Oh, that's beautiful. Josh is working on my rig.
Grab a silver.
He's gonna grab a silver. Silver Sharpie's $2 on Amazon. Most important thing, most important video I think we've ever done. We've overlooked this, and I'm so glad. A lot of you already do it, but I know there's a bunch of you that have never thought about doing this, and this video is all about taking your bow hunting. Something goes wrong, don't start adjusting your sight or rest. Take a look at your ticks on your bow. And so we're gonna put ticks on the bow today because strings don't get tighter. They only get longer and things go wrong on your wheeling and a bunch of other stuff I don't know a ton about. So here's Josh. We're gonna break down, this is the silver Sharpie video.
Okay, so we've already worked on Dan's bow a lot. We know we've got our axle to axle right. We know we've got the brace height right. We just want to triple check our timing before we start drawing on the bow. Basically what we're doing is putting permanent marker spots on the bow to be able to refer and look at where it was and where it is now. If something has stretched on your system, whether it's a cable or a string, those marks won't line up anymore. So it's an easy telltale to know something changed. If you know something changed, it gives you a direction to fix it. If you had, say your own bow press or whatnot to be able to make your adjustments, if you simply have your axle to axle measurement and your brace height measurement and your marks on your bow of where your wheels are straight, you know what's wrong. If your axle to axle is long, everything's stretched. And if your mark doesn't line up with the limb, one of your cables is stretched. It's pretty simple. So just a triple check before we start drawing permanent things on this bow. We're gonna make sure the timing's still good. Okay. And we are money on the timing. Dual cam Matthews bows will look exactly the same. They both have those little tails where your cable comes to rest against, which is what's giving you that wall feel. And you got to make sure those are actually touching at the same time. Now that we know they are, we can go ahead and mark the cams so we know what we're going back and looking at is accurate. All right, so now that we know this is right, all I'm gonna do, it's pretty simple, is make sure I'm looking down to where the limbs line up with each other and draw a line in the silver Sharpie. And do the same thing on the other side. When you look straight down at the limbs, where the limbs line up, you see a silver line and a silver line. Now, keep watching it. So I'm going to simulate like if a cable stretched. Now it doesn't line up anymore. It is literally that simple. That back lines up. So you have an easy way to look at something and tell that it's off. It's pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on this side. You got it on that side as well, so you have something to refer to. And the other little thing we're going to do is we're going to draw on Dan's wrist here. So I know this rest has a bunch of tick marks on it to show where your windage and elevation movements, but if you draw a line where you're set, if for some reason it moved, which this rest is micro adjust, it's not going to move. But from a safety standpoint, at least you know. And you do the same thing here. Draw a line where they meet. So you can look down at it and see they still line up. And then the last one that I would do, so I would draw a line on your limb bolts. To where they point at it, straight at each other. Straight up. Do not draw a line on your limb bezel because that doesn't rotate with the bolt. It can move on its own. So if your limbs unscrewed themselves a little bit as you shot or as it was riding on the back of your four-wheeler bouncing around or whatever you choose to do with it, you can know those moved. And also when you're making limb bolt adjustments to tighten or loosen your bow, you know what exactly a full rotation is. Pointing straight up and pointing straight up. It's pretty simple. Easy little things to check and know that things are the way they're supposed to be as opposed to the way you hope they are. So, and it's good to have a little cheat sheet, whether you write it on your limb or have a little card in your case that has your exact axle to axle and your exact brace height measurements that you've got stored. So you know you can go back and refer and check to see if it's changed. But that is the easiest way to know it's good to go. But don't do that until you know it's perfect. You've tuned it, shoots good, you shoot a broadhead and a field point, it's all great, everything works the way you want to, mark the crap out of it. So down here, I want to be on the left side of the axle there, and it's right at 30 inches. Brace height is the measurement from the shallowest point of the grip to the string, and you're right on 6 inches where it's supposed to be for this bow.
So you went to the throat of the...
Yeah, the shallowest point of the handle. Basically wherever you can get the longest measurement from. And you can always check those numbers with the manufacturer. They'll advertise a number that may not be the exact number. So if you call the manufacturer and say, what is the axle to axle and brace height supposed to be on this particular model, they'll give you an exact measurement down to usually a 16th or a 32nd of what it's supposed to be. Now, your bow doesn't have to be exactly that way to work. Some people are really particular about that. I've never seen a drastic difference from a small change. As long as you can measure a hard number and go back to that number, you know where you started from. So you know where it was, you know where to put it back to if something stretched. It's really pretty easy at that point.